Hey guys, so I've had quite a few requests recently to do a follow-up video on the Galaxy S8 or S8 Plus, which we do have here. This is coming on now for 6 months old, and some people wanted to know, is it still worth buying late 2017? I'd say the short answer to that is yes, definitely. But there are some things to be aware of as well if you want the longer answer. With the phone, similar to previous Samsung phones, when they do, start to age a little bit. So we can just look at the pros and cons, the good things and the bad things about the phone 6 months on. So let me just preface by saying I don't use this every day as my daily driver, but I do have quite a lot of experience with it because I use it nearly in every video, and I sometimes use it as a tablet as well because it's got a fantastic screen, for multimedia content. So let's talk about the good things about the phone still. The good things, the form factor here, absolutely fantastic form factor. Has made every other phone on the market look pretty boring in comparison. I mean, you've got some fantastic phones on the market right now, but when you consider the form factor here, comparing with the S8, it's just made everything else look very kind of redundant. I mean, you've got the Pixel 2 here coming with some fantastic camera technology, HTC's latest phone as well. I think they brought out the Plus as well, obviously, but this was their latest phone before the U11. Fantastic phones in their own right, but you just can't compare in terms of the design here, and that goes for the smaller version and the bigger version. The thing that impresses me so much about the phone is how good it feels in the hand, even though it's so big, like the screen, because you've really maximised the screen real estate, and every other company seems to try to copy this form factor. You're still getting the curved display here, which has obviously some pros and cons. Some people will say that it's a little bit of a gimmick, in terms of functionality, but others will actually find it quite useful. Like you can do different things here, as you can see, and it's only got better with software updates. Where you can do more and more different things. Personally, I find usability a little bit annoying with the curved displays, because sometimes when you're doing things on it, you can accidentally hit the curved display, and it, obviously because it's touch sensitive, it actually takes you out of an app or something. So personally, I think I prefer where you have like a bezel-less kind of display, but with a little bit of border there, so you don't keep catching the screen. But then again, I do admire the way that the phone has been built. It's been really amazingly, lovingly tended here in terms of the design. I think it's probably one of the more fragile phones on the market though, so you do pay in regards to the durability. If there's a problem internally with the S8, you're going to compromise the waterproofing, so you do need to think about that really. It's not the easiest phone to repair in terms of iFixit, so that's something to consider. So the actual form factor, amazing, but I definitely think they could still do some improvements really. They could also add a removable battery. Again, I know that some people say that's really old school, but remember with the Note 4 and the Note 3, that was something which separated Samsung. You could swap in the battery and you'd be good to go. That's what I like about the V20 actually. It's one of the few phones which allow you to do that. Now the next thing we can talk about is the software here, which is coming with the Samsung experience, which I've got to say, in terms of I'd say the main con with it is the speed. That's the only real con with it. Everything else is absolutely fantastic. It allows you to do way more things than on stock Android still, such as control the resolution of the display here. So I think you can still do that with your stock Oreo here. Let's just double check, just so I'm not saying the wrong thing. So if you just go into the settings here, you can see you can do some stuff, but you can't change the resolution. So the Samsung experience does give you a unique flavour of Android, which you not only get with other manufacturers here. In terms of the software updates, I think we do have an Oreo build for it, but I haven't gotten around to getting it on. Samsung's not the in fact, yes, we're on 7.0. I thought we were on 8 then, but you can see we're still on Android 7.0 officially. They're not the best when it comes to updating the phone, I've noticed. So if you're looking for your fast updates, that's probably another reason to go for the Pixel. But for those of you who know how to root, Flash, etc., you can get it on unofficially, which is quite good. So that's pretty good there. But if you're looking at it in terms of raw speed, I have found that the phone isn't quite as fast as your OnePlus phones. It's not quite as fast as the latest OnePlus 5T as well. I think we are getting the Exynos version here, so it should be quite good really in terms of the speed. But you do notice how it judders now and again when you're doing like the multitasking component. When you're going into the camera now and again, it judders. So it's not horrible, but it's not as smooth as we get with Pixel, OnePlus, or iPhone devices at the end of the day. And that's, I'd say, the main drawback in regards to the software performance. Obviously, there is some other drawbacks which are commonly railed against Samsung for the fingerprint sensor here. Now, it's good that they did include one, unlike the iPhone 10, which really feels like it's lacking because it doesn't have one. But it's functionally pretty useless here. I did actually use an S8 for a while, and it put me right off the phone because I couldn't use an effective fingerprint scanner. Kept smudging the camera with fingerprints, so I couldn't use the camera. So it wouldn't have, really harm them just to put it down here somewhere, just to make it more usable. And I know we have the iris scanner, which he probably wants to encourage you to try and use, but that isn't a foolproof technology yet. You could wear a mask or something. So I think that's definitely an area that they could improve with the next Samsung flagship, because he still didn't improve it on the Note 8 either. And the other thing to consider here is that the S8 actually seems to have cannibalised the Note 8, particularly the Note 8, the S8 Plus here, because there's no real reason to buy a Note 8 if you have an S8 Plus, unless you want the stylus pen, because it has pretty much the same spec. Except for slightly less RAM, obviously, so that could be considered a down point for Note users. I think that personally, Samsung should just have a smaller Samsung Galaxy S series and then the bigger Note series, which has the power user features, removable battery, etc. But I don't think we're probably going to see that next time. So in terms of the other stuff, battery, I can't really comment on it too much because I haven't really used it as a full daily drive of the S8 Plus. But from what I've heard, it's pretty good, in terms of the battery. I've heard that because it's got a bigger battery than the Note 8, it's actually better than the Note 8, and it's slightly smaller screen as well, AMOLED, very efficient processor, so I don't think you're going to have any problems with it. And that goes with the smaller one as well. You can look at the battery tests, they seem to be very strong in comparison to some other phones. Now, obviously, the other thing to consider is the camera here, which, in my opinion, is still among the best in terms of, smartphone cameras. Yes, officially, there have been other cameras which have overtaken Samsung, in terms of the scoring system, such as the Pixel. But, me comparing them side by side, I haven't seen the massive difference I was expecting. Really, I think Samsung really set the bar high early in 2017 in terms of the camera technology, going with optical image stabilization. That very fast autofocus. Didn't really see a massive step up either with the Note 8. So in terms of the camera, you're still getting the best technology here, and not for the highest price. Because obviously the S8 and the S8 Plus you can get for a little bit cheaper now than what you're getting with the Pixel 2. So and also the actual experience here, is much more, I think, well thought out in terms of the UI. Yes, you do get some, sort of modes here on the Pixel. We can see how many modes you do get on the Samsung here, like the Pro modes, etc. LG is very good at that as well. Camera can't focus, but basically, you are getting fantastic software experience as well as the actual camera hardware. So that is something to consider here. I think the advantage with Pixel owners is that they do get unlimited storage on the Google platform. But then again, you don't get any, I think, removable storage on the Pixel. So if you want to pop in a 256 gig card, just for some more storage, you can do that with your Samsung phone. So, given the question, is it worth buying in late 2017? I would definitely say so. I'd say it's still one of the best value for money Android phone you can get right now. There's quite a lot of options on the market, but if you're looking at it from a value perspective, it's still among the best. I think the screen's fantastic. You're not getting a second-rate screen like some phones are giving you. So. Certainly recommend it. The only thing I would say to be a bit aware of is that it's not the fastest phone and the fingerprint scanner, but I think they're going to sort those things out in the next generation, really. So it's still my phone of the year overall, and very close to what I want out of a phone. So yeah, just a quick little video here. Hope you found it helpful on the S8, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.